morning, good afternoon, good evening. One of the problems we have in Zimbabwe is that we have a failed state. And yet, to listen to those in power, you'd think otherwise. Zanu PF is having its conference, and Mnangagwa is talking of progress. What progress? The country's economy is in total meltdown. Millions of our people are living in abject poverty. The country's political system is failing to find a solution because the system itself is so corrupted that it is totally dysfunctional. We are facing political paralysis. And yet, somebody continue wittering about progress. The truth, however, is no amount of propaganda can create progress that is not there. Zanu PF has been able to rig elections, but it cannot rig progress. This is Mnangagwa speaking at his ongoing party conference.
Let me reiterate that constitutionalism, discipline, unity, patriotism, loyalty, as well as hard, honest work remain indispensable values of our party Zanu PF, which must never be tampered with. I once again thank you all for demonstrating a sustained commitment to ensure the success of both party and government programs, projects and activities across the country. As the events preceding our main conference unfold, let us continue to avail our skills and experience for the work that lies ahead to guarantee responsive and people-centered resolutions. We must abandon silo mentalism. Zanu PF is a party for everybody. We are all equal in Zanu PF. I thank you.
One of the main reasons why, in fact, Zimbabwe is a failed state is that in 44 years, we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. That's at the heart of our problem. Zanu PF has been able to rig elections time and time again and stay in power. The nation is stuck with a corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical regime. 44 years, Zanu PF has rigged the elections. Albeit the last 24, it has done it with the connivance of MDC, CCC leaders. Zanu PF has managed to capture the MDC and CCC leaders, allow them to continue wearing and posture as opposition when in reality they no longer fight for the ordinary people. When MDC was launched in 1999, it was launched on the promise the party would deliver democratic change. That was the understanding. The party's name itself implied that. This is the movement for democratic change. And yet, in the last 24 years, including the 5 during the GNU of 2008 to 2013, MDC leaders have failed to implement even one token reform. Worse still, ever since the GNU debacle, they have participated in flawed elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they were helping to give Zanu PF legitimacy. Yet they've continued to participate. This is the political reality that the people of Zimbabwe cannot run away from. The tragedy is very few have really understood what is going on, and hence the reason why the country has got this political paralysis. Last year, Mnangagwa was able to blatantly rig the elections. Both SADC and the AU election observers condemned that those elections as flawed and illegal. But SADC did not go to the logical next step of denying Zanu PF political legitimacy, as happened in 2008. There are fundamentally two reasons why they didn't do so. The first and obvious reason was that the opposition, such as it is, Zimbabwe's opposition, had participated in the elections. And they managed to con their followers to participate in their millions. Nelson Chamisa nearly got 2 million votes in last year's elections. SADC, as much as they would have wanted to deny Zanu PF legitimacy, had to ask themselves if the people of Zimbabwe are happy participating in an election process that is so flawed, so illegal, that the logical step is to withdraw, and yet they're still willing to go ahead. Why should SADC interfere? The second reason is equally obvious. Even if they'd bitten the bullet and say, okay, we'll deny Zanu PF political legitimacy, you've got to ask yourself, to what end and purpose? In 2008, they denied Zanu PF political legitimacy and forced Zanu PF and the MDC opposition, the two MDC opposition factions then, to go into a GNU. The primary purpose of that GNU was to implement democratic reforms, to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. Not even one token reform was implemented in those 5 years. And since the MDC players, leaders, people like Chamisa, Tendai Biti, David Coulthard, were still the same players in Triple C, and Zanu PF were also led by the same Zanu PF leaders who were in the last GNU. One is going to ask yourself, did anyone seriously expect that new GNU would deliver anything more? And they had their wake-up call. If any one of them, any of the SADC leaders, were thinking of denying Zanu PF political legitimacy, they had their wake-up call. Because soon after the election results were out, last year's election results were out, C imploded with self-designated Secretary General Savangu recalling a number of the elected officials. So where are we? Well, we are stuck. The economy is in total meltdown. The country has launched this new currency, the SIG, with the usual fanfare and assurance that this new currency was not going to lose its value. It is backed by Zimbabwe's gold. Everybody knew that that was just the usual propaganda. The new currency was launched in April. And here we are in October. And since it has lost half its value, officially, unofficially it's worse. There is no progress. No amount of propaganda can create progress that is not there. We could get ourselves out of this political mess. The only way we can do so, in my view, is that Zanu PF, or we should implement the democratic reforms so that the next election, 2028, are free, fair, and credible. But the only party that can implement those reforms at the moment is Zanu PF. And Zanu PF will never reform itself out of office. So plan A is out of the window. Is there a plan B? Yes, there is. We can get the opposition to stop participating in these flawed elections, only to give Zanu PF political legitimacy. As David Coulthard readily admitted in the quotation I'm showing you at the bottom of the screen. What are the chances that Chamisa and company will do so this time? In all honesty, none. They've been participating in flawed elections since the 2008 to 2013 GNU. I don't see them stopping now. I can foresee a situation where Chamisa is coming out of his sabbatical with yet fresh promises that he was going to win. He's going to win the 2028 elections, and his supporters should participate in those flawed elections. So plan B is also out of the window. Is there plan C? Yes, there is. We can stop the Chamisa Chete Brigade participating in these flawed elections. If we can stop them participating in their millions as they did last year, then I believe SADC leaders will also realize that there are Zimbabweans out there who realize that the nation is being held to ransom by both Zanu PF, their C MDC triple C sidekick, and their brain dead triple C supporters. That is not impossible to achieve. But I'll also admit that it will not be easy, because these Chamisa Chete supporters have got the cult, the personality cult mentality. You cannot reason with them. Whatever Chamisa tells them, they'll believe it. Right now, some of us have been having endless exchange of views, WhatsApp messages with some of the die-hard Chamisa supporters. As much as they accept that Zanu PF rigged the 2023 elections, they still refuse to accept that Chamisa had lied to them, that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. They don't see the contradiction. On the one hand, Chamisa told them he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. So Zanu PF was not going to rig 2023 elections. But now the results, the benefit of hindsight, they can see Zanu PF did rig those elections. Indeed, SADC and the AU's reports are confirming that very point. These elections were flawed and illegal. And yet to get these Chamisa Chete people to admit that yes, indeed, Chamisa lied is near impossible. You can't get them to admit even on a fundamental truth like that. Getting them to admit that it is sheer folly to keep on participating in flawed elections come 2028 is not going to be a walk in the park. I'll be the first one to admit it. Still, I believe Plan C is viable, is doable, and we should be pushing to educate these brainwashed Chamisa Chete supporters, or we'll find ourselves in a situation where they participate in their millions, Zanu PF's legitimacy is confirmed, and we are in this endless, nonsensical position where somebody pretends the country is making progress. We are on course to achieve Vision 2030, when in reality, millions more of our own people are sinking deeper and deeper into abject poverty. That, my friend, is the reality, the political reality in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, and have a good night.